Namo Buddhaya. Let us start on another session relating to the law of nature, the Dhamma. 2 weeks back, we covered on what is nature, how it works. Now we go more detailed into it. In the next 20 25 minutes, let's understand what is in nature and when one follows as per the nature law or the natural law. How does the nature it gives benefit at the same time if the person or any being were to abuse the nature, and then how it instantly punishes. So there is a famous dialogue or a statement given by the Buddha when one lady comes to ask in a very short sentence, can you tell us what is Dhamma? The Buddha replies in this way. I will recite it in Pali and I'll give explanation in English. Sabba papasa akaranan kusalasa upasampada satchitta paryodapanan etena buddhana sasanam. Now what he says is that sabba papasa akaranan, that is, don't do any sinful action. Kusalasa upasampada, ensure that you do kusala. Kusala means we can keep it as noble, moral, or non sinful deeds. Satchitta paryodapanan, cleanse your mind of defilement. Etena buddhana sasanam. This is what the Buddha's dispensation is. That is not Gautama Buddha, it is all Buddhas of the past, all Buddha in the present, and the Buddhas who are going to come in the future. So they would only teach this much. They will ensure that human beings and the devas follow the natural law, which is moral values and nothing else. So once that happens, mind is able to establish in samadhi, and then the wisdom comes on what is nature. So let's now go detailed into it. Papa means sin. Okay. Now, why do we do that in the first place? Why do we would like to do the sin when knowing that we should not be sinful? We do it because of greed. So greed has a nature. So when I have greed, there is two things that is going to happen. Number one, if I deeply observe, there would be a change in the body temperature, there would be some anxiety, there would be some restlessness, there would be some change in the breath pattern, there would be some palpitation, depending upon how much greed I have. Until I possess it, I am not that comfortable. Like that, if I have hatredness, again, there's a nature is to heat up, to not just warm. The greed and desire warms things up, whereas the hatredness literally heats up, increases the temperature. So instantaneously the person starts sweating as he turns into rage. So the person cannot take it. So the whole body is shaking. He doesn't know what is he speaking. He gets mixed up, and anything can happen. That and delusion has its own nature. The deluded person is confused. He doesn't know what is right, what is wrong. So, in general, if we see only these greed, hatred, delusion, or desire, hatred, delusion, this is a nature. whether a person of this origin were to become angry, a person of that origin were to become angry, whether this community person becomes angry or that community person becomes angry, it doesn't matter. It throws out that nature. In the same way, if somebody has non greed, there is that nature. It immediately shows up. He becomes contented. When he is contented, he finds peace. When there is no hatredness, again he gets peace. When there is no delusion, again he is in peace. So, nature doesn't take time. So, when Buddha says, Yehi Passiko, and when he says that there is no time, Akaliko, it means that if something is followed as per natural law, then you are basically in bliss or ultimately ending up in peace. So that's the nature. Now, like that, if we take about jealousy, we take about discontentment, we take about disputes, we take about each one of them has its own nature. So the papa has, the sinful has one nature, and non sinful has another nature, which is happiness, peace, contentment. So that would be the nature. It doesn't matter who is, in which community it is like that. It doesn't matter what I'm believing in, what God I'm believing in, what God I don't believe in, etc. etc. But the moment the person were to not have any greed, any hatredness, any delusion, any jealousy like that, instantaneously the nature appreciates or rewards that person with happiness and peace. So when we were to say that may you be happy, it means that if through some means, the person is able to get into the law of nature, not getting hooked up onto things and try to accumulate and accumulate and accumulate. It's not that we should not earn. It's not that we should not work. It is not that we should not have comfort in life. But it should not be like I want it all the time. And that heats up. First, it warms up, which is the nature. Warming up is a nature. So when I have desire, endless quest, endless pursuit, then I'm heating, I'm actually warming up things. And when I don't get it, it turns itself into heat. So we use burning desire as a word to say that my desires are burning. Why I feel the burn? Because it makes me feel really uncomfortable. I'm not comfortable. Till I possess it, I'm not comfortable. So, till I get what I would like to possess, there can't be anything called as comfort. So, the moment I possess, that say I possess a car, I possess a home, I possess a family, I possess a position, I possess whatever I would like to possess, these possessions by nature has no life. So now when I possess it, it comes to life. So when it comes to life, it goes through a complete process of arising and passing away. So it decays and it is gone. So when it is gone, I have to suffer. So if I am attached to it, I am going to end up in a very miserable spot. So all kind of things which are created in the mind, which are called as sankhara, ultimately produces one or the other kind of pain, which is can be used as suffering, said that to be suffering. So what is suffering? Suffering means holding on to something which doesn't even exist. So you suffer because if it was true, if that enjoyment was true, it should have stayed with you. And since that enjoyment is not true, it turns itself into suffering because I've done with it, but now it's gone. So again, I have to do something to get it back. So let's take an example of coffee. So I drink coffee, a cup of coffee, so I get that kick or excitement. But the next coffee will not give me that because that's the nature, is to diminish. So anything we do in our life, if we can understand the law of nature, the law of nature is arising and ceasing. So how did Buddha do it? He found it through the feelings that appear on the body and on the five senses. So instead of lot of verbalization, lot of theoretical inputs, what Buddha did is to understand the body. So one who understands his own body, and which is consisting of the five senses and the mind being there. If you see, we have eyes, ears, nose, tongue, the body, mind. So when I carry this in Pali called as kaya, is a collection. So this has a collection of these six things along with a material stuff which is there everywhere, which is made out of earth element, water element, fire element, and air element. So this is what we have. So this body, outer, inner, is made out of the four elements and enclosed within space, the fifth element. Now that has a collection of eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. This is process in the mind. So the mind itself become one sense. It can sense what is coming, what is going. So if we understand the nature of the eye, the nature of the ear, the nature of the nose, the tongue, body, and the mind, then we have understood what should be understood. So let's see what is it. The nature of the eye is to see. You don't have to teach it. This is how you see it. It knows how to see. The nature of the ear is to hear. The nature of the nose is to smell. The nature of the tongue is to taste. Nature of the body is through touch. And nature of the mind is to think. That's it. So, in my misunderstanding, if I use the eye to focus on something, to possess it, the object, I want to possess it, it's against the nature. I'm supposed to only see it. I'm not supposed to possess it. But I love it. I need it. So I would like to possess it. The moment I would like to possess it, it doesn't stay. Let's say I'm interacting with a person and her body, I'll take a female because I being a male, so I'm attracted to a female, let's say. So I'm talking to the female because her thoughts and my thought matches. Her body is attractive, which I think if I take her completely and bring her here and keep on seeing her all the time, it gives me a fantastic experience rather than going and searching for her. When she's not there, she's next to me. And I get married to that and call her my wife. Now we are in relationship. Who is in relationship? The five senses plus the four elements with the mind is in relationship with another five senses plus the mind plus this elements. Now, thinking that this element is a permanent thing or something is going to last for a long time, I married. But it goes through the aging process. So the nature of thing is to age. Nothing anybody can do. and ultimately go out of existence. Meaning, just like a tree or a creeper or anything which comes and it goes, the body perishes. Now, eyes is also one sense. That sense will come when an object is coming, and it will go away when the object is gone. Ear comes when the sound is there, and when the sound is not there, go away. Like that, the remaining. But my problem is that it has to stay. I want that sound to be there all the time. I want the sight to be there all the time. I want the taste to be there all the time. I want the touch to be there all the time. I want the thoughts to be there, the one which I want to have. So I want to have the one I want. I don't want to have the one I don't want. So both of them, that is, I want on one side, I don't want another side, both create friction in the mind. So the mind starts to get into worry and anxiety and all that because it wants to possess. So the sabba papas akarnan means remove the sinful action in doing this possession game. I possess the eye or the sight and the sound and taste and touch and smell and thought. I am not looking at the consequence of this action. I am just going in pursuit of it. I want it. I want it. I need it. I want it. Which is crazy because we can't keep it. And the more I would like to keep it, it is going to go away pretty soon. So it doesn't matter. It's going to go away as soon as it is arising. So arising and passing away, arising and passing away is the thing. So now the question comes, how do I understand this law of nature? The only way to understand this law of nature is through the breath which comes in and goes out, because the breath is connected to all the six senses. So the feeling that arises in all the sense door is registered through the breath. So when we practice to observe breath and see in the body what all different feelings are coming, so this becomes a body sensing activity to understand the body. Then the same kind of feelings arises in the eyes, the same kind of feeling arises in the ear, the nose, tongue, and this body anyway. And the mind, when the thought comes, there is a change in the breath pattern, breathing pattern. So supposing I do a vipassana. Passana is to see, vipassana is to extensively see. So what am I seeing? I'm seeing the law of nature. As simple as that. So if something is coming into the eye sense door, the breath will change. The ear sense door, the breath will change. The nose sense door, the breath will change. Like that, the body sense door, the breath will change. So when it changes, it throws one kind of feeling. When I like that feeling, it gives rise to a set of actions which make it more and more. So as soon as an eye sees the object and it is likable in nature, it produces one kind of feeling. So it is a natural law. It always produces that kind of feeling. If I dislike it, it creates another type of feeling. So I consciously know, that means the I consciousness knows this is a good feeling and this is a not good feeling, or is a pleasant feeling, this is a painful feeling. So whatever is a painful feeling, I don't want it, but whatever a pleasurable feeling, I love it. So like that in the other five sense door. So we need to understand this law. Nothing to do with what I think the world is. The world comes into existence with the six senses. And then this body is made out of element. So the elements are not mine. I can't possess them. Neither the senses, they are not mine either. So when I really see this whole equation, I see that all of these six will arise when the condition comes and depart as soon as the condition is gone. So the nature has conditionality. The nature has arising and passing away. So if I know this nature or natural law, I also see that there is a dependent origination between each one of these experiences I'm getting. So the feelings provide experience. So I'm going behind those experiences thinking that they're real. So as soon as an object comes, there is one kind of experience, and the object goes away, there's another kind of experience. So anxiety in whoever it is the same. The threat feeling, whoever it is the same. The fear has its own nature, is the same. The happiness, same. Contentment has its own nature, same. So the objective of the Buddha Dhamma is to understand the nature. And how to understand the nature is to get into a method called as samatha, in English called as tranquility, followed by vipassana, which means that investigation. And the third one, anupassana, is not only you investigate, you deep dive and see really what is happening with each one of the sense doors. So if we are able to understand all the six sense doors along with its nature, it comes to light that why am I liking something and why I don't like another thing. Number two, I will also come to know the nature or the natural law of this four elements is enclosed to the space. And when I know this plus that, I will also come to know the conscious. What is being conscious and what is being unconscious. So let's say there are three ways of defining this conscious experience. One is a conscious, one is a subconscious, and another one is unconscious. Meaning the experience is there, but it is covered by the conscious experience. Meaning whatever I have been collecting, I think that's only experience. So what are we trying to do is to understand the nature of the six senses, nature of the material, which is the four elements, and the nature of consciousness. If we were to understand all of these three, it gives us a complete picture of what is my mental state, what is my physical state, why am I taking these kind of decisions, why I do something wrong. So sabba papa sa akarnan, that is, now I know I shouldn't be doing any sinful act. Kusalasa upasampada, so do good deeds, noble deeds, because it gives reward. Reward of what? Reward of peace. Sachitta paryodapanan, clean the mind completely of defilements. Defilements as in the greed, hatred, delusion, jealousy, irritation, agitation, all of that. So when we remove that, the mind is purified. In a purified mind, it has the nature. It has its own nature. It is in peace. That's a natural law. So when I follow the natural law, there is nothing to fear now, because fear is also part of one kind of nature. So I've left the fear. So I'm fearless. And death is again an experience. So I have become deathless. Why? Because there's nothing to expect. So it gives me a reward for not being fearful of death as well. So now I am in 100% peace. That shanti, when there is no raga, which is desire or hatred, dvesha, when there is no, sorry, desire and greed, and hatred is uh, vesha, and moha is delusion. And these three things are not there. It's a state of nibbana, meaning unchanging. So, or unconditioned. So, this is conditioned, whereas that one is unconditioned. So, we understand the conditioned nature and let go of the condition, and what remains is unconditioned. So, in the next session, we will take each one of these attributes and see what is it for me if I have greed, what is it for me if I have hatred, what is it for me if I have delusion, and how I can remove it. Thank you very much for watching, and more is going to come each day on a small, it would be hardly 5 to 10 minutes or maximum 15 minutes of each one of these, how we should practice using breath as the main object or observatory. Let's call it as an observatory. So we go into the observatory, we experiment and see that what is the level of greed I have, what is the level of hatred I have, what is the level of delusion I have, or if I take even more slightly think, how much of sensual expectation I have, because that defines my greed or desire. How much of that sensual not being met going to create this depressive state and then builds in anger, rage, etc., and how much of the delusion I have. So we will take each one of these, we will see what is it to meditate. Meditation is all about two aspects: samatha, vipassana. Samatha is tranquility, vipassana is investigation, which helps in going further into anupassana, which is deep dive and cleanse the mind of defilement. Thank you very much for watching and look forward to meet you again. Thank you.